All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 122 of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For all of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I'm the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited if you guys are joining us on this Monday morning, or whether you are catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of the content that we're talking about today could be helpful or useful for anyone in your circle, please hit the share button and share the love. Now, as you guys know, we have been in a full focus series on autism acceptance and awareness, having on amazing different speakers and presenters this month. And I bring to you today Faith Clarke. She is an intuitive strategist, a new venture midwife, and she is the author of Parenting Like a Ninja, which I love, which is the Autism Mom's Guide to Professional Productivity. So welcome, Faith.
Hey, Tammy. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, and I am so excited to have you and to have you share with our audience a little bit about your journey. And then as we went through that, how Parenting Like a Ninja came to be. So I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Well, it's hard. I've been interviewing a few moms too for my podcast, and it's always so interesting how hard it is to say who we are, right? Because we have all these roles that we play. And so I think at my core, if I separate from all my roles, I'm a connector. I love to look for connections between people, between things, between ideas. And I think that ability to connect kind of shows up in the stuff I've chosen to do professionally. I used to be a computer programmer in a prior life, and then a computer engineer, and that meant I connected things and I wrote code to make things talk to each other. And I used to teach, and for me, teaching is that connection between the static knowledge and then this live experience that students can have. And so that's kind of fundamentally who I am. At this point in time, I am a strategic thinker and analyst for small businesses and entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurial moms who have kids with special needs, because I love to help all of us think about how to make all the crazy in our lives connect. Because that's as a special needs mom, there's like 15 million competing parts pulling you in all different directions, and it feels crazy. And kind of making that into a cohesive whole, that's kind of been my desire and passion in this season.
And before that season came to be, how did that journey begin that led you to this? Because obviously before you were a mom, you were a computer programmer.
Yes, yeah.
A mom, when you began motherhood, maybe you were still a computer programmer.
Briefly.
When did the shift change in your journey this special needs journey begin for you?
So I was teaching computer programming at the university in Jamaica, where I'm from. At the time, I was not living in the US. And I had Jaden. We started to see that he looked like he wasn't hearing. That was kind of like the thing. You'd call him and he'd not come, but he used to respond to his name. So I went through the process, got the diagnosis, and it was this moment or this season of shock and awe. So I'm still teaching, but I remember a day walking into my classroom, and I had some graduate students. I don't remember what they were studying, but I looked at them and I felt these kids were all going to either get A's or they were going to fail, because I didn't care anymore about the external. I was so preoccupied with what felt like a bomb that had detonated in my life. I didn't know what autism was except for Rain Man. I didn't know what I would do. And in Jamaica, I didn't feel like I even had the resources. So I was facing not just, I guess, the death of some of my dreams as a parent, because I had fantasized. This is my first child. I'd had all the parental fantasies. I'd read all the books. I knew the amazing parent I was going to be. And then it was all like, no, none of that applies. That was how it felt. So that was how the journey started. And I spent a few years as a stay-at-home mom. And as Jaden's siblings came, I have 3 children, we homeschooled, because I found that it was so hard to explain to others what I wanted for him. The more I studied, the more I understood him, the more I tuned into his personality, I couldn't figure out how to influence others to do what I wanted. And eventually homeschooling just felt like the saner option. I'll do it myself. And so.
And how old is it's Jaden, right? How old is
20.
he now?
He's 20 years old now. Yeah.
20 years. So you've been on this journey for 2 decades.
Basically. And this is from the 90s. Well, he got diagnosed in 2000. So it's just this so much has changed in the landscape between when we got our diagnosis and now.
Right. And I think resources have also changed. I think there is just so much more acceptance, awareness, and support services that are out there. Obviously, that always needs to still continue to grow. But I think that 20 years ago, I think sometimes when new parents now are looking at stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, the stuff
that's amazing.
Now, compared to 20 years ago, you couldn't even find things on the computer. I mean, people use the computer the same way. I mean, it just was so incredibly different. So at what point, at what year did you decide, okay, you know, this is forever life-changing. I'm going to restructure kind of my business model, my thoughts, you know, around doing something productive as a special needs parent?
Yeah, so I was home with Jaden and with the kids for several years, and it's hard to let go of things that are kind of come naturally to me. So learning design comes naturally, workshop design, a lot of these more design oriented things came naturally. So I'd do it on the side for free. I'd help this person out here, I'd help that out here. And I started to design a curriculum to train the people to help me with Jaden at home. And so in formalizing that curriculum, I then made it into a business, because I said that if I can help other people, then my pain is worth it. So in creating this curriculum that I used at home, I kind of structured it a little bit more. I made an internship coming out of my home. And then I said, well, if you come as an intern, and I know any other families who need our help, your help, I'll refer you. And that's kind of how my business model was formed. You might hear sounds in everybody's home. This is kind of part of the struggle.
This is our life. It's real life here at the Honor.
This is how it is.
That is fine. That's fine. If people need to join us in the interview, it's fine.
It was like somebody might come in. It's like, no, stay. But yeah, so, and that was, you asked what year. I think that was, by the time I made it formal, that might have been 2011.
2011.
And it was pivotal for me because my grandmother died, I think, 2010. And her death, it felt like the passing of a matriarch, of an icon, of a, you know, just like this super gangster female role. And I felt like I wanted to make her investment in my life count. So there was this kind of reckoning of, she's poured in and made such a difference. What do I have in my hand to make a difference with? And so it was a pulling together of multiple things. And I said, I'll create something that answers other people's prayers. Because for me, having people in my home that really understood my son, that was something that was missing. Even now, in terms of many of the respite services that we do get, a lot of the people who come in are not, they don't understand deeply. And so being able to create something that trained people to really understand felt like a way I could serve the community. So that was Melody of Autism. That was the first business I created.
Melody of Autism. And then what branched off from there?
So
book next?
Yeah, so Melody of Autism kind of had me writing and creating and talking to families, because that was, people reach out to you and say, hey, I need a sitter, I need a nanny, I need somebody, but I'm, you know, the nannies are working with the kids, I'm working with the parents. And so I got into a lot of these intimate conversations. And so I could hear, I'd have these chats. I was like, so are you taking care of yourself? Are you caring for yourself? Are you pausing this weekend? And it was like, laugh, you know, pausing, that's like the unicorn. It doesn't happen. And the parenting like a ninja kind of evolved out of my desire to shift how I did business. And instead of working directly with the kids or setting things up to work with the kids, I was like, let's go straight to the heart of the need. Intervention has to start with parents. And by then, as Jaden was getting older, I was also starting to see the emotional fallout and the mental health fallout and the physical health fallout for many of the parents, including moms, especially moms. And there's studies that talk about, well, a friend of mine was doing a study. She was doing her PhD and she asked me to help. And I'm so grateful that she did, because I got to be there as she was assessing the parents. And many of the moms who she did the stress test on had numbers that were in the clinical and hospitalizable range. Like on the test basically said, if you are in these numbers, you go seek medical help. And I was like, these were normal looking women walking in with kids, just dealing with the things, but the scores were so high. And so Parenting Like a Ninja was me kind of confronting some of those issues in me. My stress was pretty high and still can be. My reactions to Jaden had become so, all he needed to do is make a sound and my heart rate would go up and my shoulders would tighten up, and the physical experience in my body, I started to see those things for me. So Parenting Like a Ninja is me kind of journaling my journey from that place of chronic stress and feeling like nothing mattered and just kind of hyper-focused, to a place where I started my PhD. As I worked on myself, I started my PhD, reshifted how I did business, shifted connections, just finding ways to add energy and build meaning into my life, and acknowledging that when I did that, that was a gift to Jaden. Mm-hmm. And so that was Parenting Like a Ninja, was the start of me changing my business model so that I could serve the families more directly.
And, Faith, I love that you dig very deep and talk about this with so many parents and individuals and bring it to the forefront, because I think that parent creativity is at an all-time high. I don't think that the outside world sometimes quite understands that as, our children are born and what we thought life would be like shifts, also every single piece of our being shifts. It's not just your home life, your marriage, how your siblings or the kids are affected. It is your career, what you went to school for, the people you interact with every day, your circle, your tribe. And it's so deep and it's so vast. And so I think that you bringing that full circle and awareness to that is so incredible and great. And I'm grateful that you do that. Now, what year was that in that Parenting Like a Ninja came out?
So that was, I think I started the writing process 2017. So it came out last year. And really, although I started it in 2017, it was a culmination. I'd been blogging for years. I'd been doing a lot of stuff. So 2017, I kind of figured out, what did I want? I have many messages I would want to share, but if I was to kind of grab one message thread, what it would be? And then I pulled together some old writing, did some more organizing, and kind of did some more writing. And so 2018, I did the writing, and 2017 to early 2018, I finished the writing and published it later 2018.
And now I know that obviously the book has been out for a year, and you kind of have your new kind of mission and purpose as you move forward now. Some of those other templates are made and laid out. So where are you now? And I know that you talk a lot about mental health as well. And I think that that's a heavy focus that needs to have so much precedence put on it, because I don't think that people are aware, of our daily lives as special needs parents, and the fact of alienation, depression, anxiety, stress, all of that. I would love to see the numbers, like you were saying, across the United States on that. So what's kind of next for you?
Right now, what I realized, I guess a place that I wanted to focus was on entrepreneurship for special needs families, because so my book is about professional productivity, and professional can mean on the 9-to-5 job. And that's a beautiful place to be. But I noticed many of the women who were interacting with me were like you, Tammy, realized that the professional space doesn't fit us.
Right.
I have to be able to respond. The school can call me at any minute. And then they're like, no, you have to pick him up now. And so many of us are choosing entrepreneurship as a way, first and foremost, to add some finances into the situation, into the family picture, right? There's like so much of what we need to do with our kids. Some of it is covered by insurance. A lot of it is not. especially things that are considered new or innovative. And so there are a lot of families that are creating businesses on the side, and the women tend to be the ones doing it. But then as the kids get older, there are a lot of families who are saying, wait a second, what's going to happen for work for our kids? Because how do we help our kids have meaningful work? And so families have been creating these businesses that have space for the kids. And so I've been intrigued by this, and I'm like, how can I encourage moms to do these businesses as a way to support their mental health, not just as a way to give Johnny meaningful work, yes, not just as a way to provide income for the family, although yes, but design it in a way that meets the emotional, psychological needs. So it's not just another thing that we're adding. Now that Johnny's 15, I have another intervention thing I need to be doing. And one of the things that I found out, certainly for me, is that need fulfillment, and so I get a little nerdy with the psychological jargon, stop me if I do, but need fulfillment is like a big deal where moms are concerned, as in we don't meet our own needs, and especially psychological needs. We might be convinced to eat some food and drink some water and maybe sleep at night. But things like relationships and autonomy, just like feeling like you're in control of your life, and competence, which is just feeling like you're good at something that you can share in the world. Those are like basic human needs. And a lot of the special needs moms sacrifice those needs. And the mom will say to me, autonomy, like feeling like I'm in control of my life. Autism is in control of my life. And so relationships, we sacrifice a lot. Relationships just fritter away because it's hard to find people who really understand the life you're in. So I felt that entrepreneurship designed to meet those needs could be a win-win. It could buffer against the burnout and the autoimmune disorders among moms are like on a high now. And so could buffer against so many of those effects of this long-term care and chronic stress that many of the moms are dealing with.
And so within creating this, how does a mom, if there is, moms that are listening or parents that are listening today, what is kind of that structural road you take them down, or getting involved with services and things like that you offer?
So I think one of the first things that I try to hear from a mom is what she loves. Mm-hmm. Because let's face it, if your kid is anything like mine, you live sleep deprived. Like you do live on this other echelon of kind of functional, right? And so I try to figure out what she loves that she can do in the middle of the night, sleep deprived and stressed. Often we as women don't give credit to the things that are easy for us. And so as I kind of talk with her and this thing comes out, I really validate how big and beautiful it is. She treats it like a little thing. This thing that I do that my friends ask me for help with, that I tend to share for free. Let's figure out how we can monetize that.
Right.
And let's figure out how we can monetize that in a way that fits the normal rhythm of your life. So then we spotlight that. How does life normally go? So that it's not just you're working from 9 to 5, but actually there's an energy boost for me between 2 and 3 when therapist is here and great. Let's figure out how we can use the time you have, the energy you have when you have it, and your best skills, and monetize that in a way that serves the people that you love serving anyway, that you're probably serving anyway, just not monetizing that. And so it's usually in a lot of these conversations that then we structure what I call the biz life plan, which is just, it's a business plan, but it's a really softer business plan because it tunes into personality, her personality, the rhythm of her life, her passions, and just kind of crafts an idea, a service, a product that makes sense in her situation.
And I think that is so valuable. And I don't know, especially moms or parents that are starting out on their beginning journey, that they realize that as their children age and they get into their teen years and those 2 decades of life, and that there isn't always the opportunity and school is no longer a thing, how this creation of what your entrepreneurship is going to be so great, and looking at the things that you can do, because we are all sleep deprived and you're tired, and you know what, sometimes your week doesn't go the way you want to go, sometimes hour by hour doesn't go the way that you planned it to go. And so I think that is so important for new moms or new dads, people traveling this journey to start with. What would you say would be your best words of wisdom for them?
I think for a new mom, the first thing would be to trust that it's going to be okay. I think there's a real scattering of everything that you know. And if there was anywhere that I would start, would be to resist. It's hard, but resist the need to run out and fix it. And really get oriented with yourself. Motherhood just by itself is such an externally focused experience. And then with a special needs child, it becomes even more externally focused. So I would say, can you immediately get into the habit of this hour for yourself and train everyone, dad, whoever else, everybody, this protected time. And even though you might feel selfish, you might feel like this is not possible, there's like whatever it is that you feel, training yourself to allow you to have time by yourself, I think is a really important place to start. The answer is the solution. I say to people that I had to find the Jaden path to intervention, but the answer, the solution for your child is in you in those times. It's not really found outside. You being able to discern from the noise on the internet, from therapists, from everywhere, comes from being able to have that time. So I would say that that's the very first thing. Protect some time and be able to be with yourself, just to learn kind of who you are now in this new space. The business ideas come out of those times. The ways that you can serve, the ways that your child needs you, the family, the ways that a family needs you, all of those things will come out at that time. So I would start there.
And I would say, and you might reiterate this as well, that space, sometimes when people are like, oh, you need to take this self-care hour, or you need to take this, for some reason, moms imagine that, and it has to be in some certain place.
In the spa.
Yeah, like that's what they think of. And you know what, as I tell people and they laugh at me, my place is outside. I don't get to go very far away a lot of times, and maybe I'm at a doctor's office, something. I love sitting outside, just right on the sidewalk, concrete, and just taking a moment. Just taking those moments. So it doesn't need to be in any place certain or special, right? It can be in wherever you find some solitude.
I think it has to be in a place that you've set the rules, nobody will bother you. Right. A friend of mine's mom, this was, maybe 50 years ago, but I thought it was so cute and interesting. She had 10 kids. And she had a scarf she put over her head, and she had a chair that she sat in. And the kids knew, mom's in the chair, the scarf's over her head, silence. Nobody makes any noise. No, it was just, she created the space. She was not going to be disturbed. It was her time for whatever, 15, 20 minutes. When you have special needs kids, sometimes, they can't be in control necessarily to not interrupt. So you have to set that boundary. So for me, I'm in the car in the garage, or if I need to be farther, I pull out of the driveway and I go just on the street. I'm looking at the house, but I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm doing a meditation. I'm thinking. I'm just allowing myself to be by myself.
I love that, because like I said, that space, it's wherever you can have that protected space, and whether it's sitting somewhere, but I know that I like moms to kind of get that out of their head, that it has to be like they have to go on a retreat somewhere. It's great to be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to do that on a daily basis, or, an every couple day basis.
So just also say here that, and speaking of retreats, because I do believe that those are super important, and the price point though makes a difference for many of us, because I love to be able to indulge myself in something that is, that costs some money, but that's not always possible. And especially with what we deal with financially with our kids. But I found out that I can create that retreat. It's not as much about money as it is about being willing to tell people I'm not available. And so I found like the monastery or like a Catholic, like where the nuns lived, and they allowed people on the property and they had rooms, and I could spend the day, and it was $40 and it included breakfast and lunch. Like, there are opportunities for you to create the space for yourself. It has to start with you saying it's crucial. And then you find these places that you can just go and be for yourself for some time.
Wonderful. Well, Faith, how can people get a hold of you? Where are you available? How can they get your book to learn more, or your blog? Are we able to drop all those links below this live so people can find you?
Yes, so I'm going to give you all the links, but I'm right now, this is the month that my book, the physical book that I can touch, which I've had for a while, but it's actually in bookstores this month. So I'm celebrating that by giving some away free except for shipping. So parentinglikeaninja.com allows you to go on and get a print copy of the book, and I'm going to sign it with smiley faces. But also, you'll see some other things that I have offered there at parentinglikeaninja.com. I'm available on Facebook, perhaps too much. And so this reaching out, sending me a private message there, or emailing faith@melodyofautism.com. I'd be happy to chat, especially I think for moms who are beginning to feel that bug that says, I want to spend some time doing something that's meaningful to me. I love having those conversations to kind of like validate that, and let's expose that, and let's see that the meaningful thing is not just for you. It really is the best service to your family, to your child, that you can offer, this love to yourself.
Thank you so much, Faith. Faith, you are amazing. And if this didn't kick your Monday off the right way, I don't know what would. So we were going to drop all that below. I want you to continue with your family, enjoying your spring break, right? You guys are in spring break now.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I have kids in 2 districts. So one kid goes back out to school tomorrow, my son Jaden with autism. The other 2 are home for the rest of the week. So we've had 2 weeks of sort of holiday. So.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. We will drop all of the links below so that you can get a hold of Faith and get your hands on one of those Parenting Like a Ninja books. As well, if you want to know about any of the other services that the On Air Advocate offers, you can just go to onairadvocate.com. Make sure you head over there. Our new newsletter is out every month, so make sure you head over to the website to sign up for that. If you'd like to join our private community, you can head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group. But on that note, thank you so much, Faith. I appreciate you spending the morning with us, and all the rest of you have a fabulous week. All right. Thank you so much, Faith. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.